What if the most important tomb on Earth has never been opened? Not because no one can find it, but because those who can are too afraid to try. Imagine a burial so vast it's an underground city, sealed for over 2 millennia, guarded by legends of hidden crossbows, rivers of liquid mercury, and a curse that isn't mystical at all, but chemistry and physics. Stay with us until the end to find out about the single piece of scientific evidence that convinced modern archaeologists to leave this tomb sealed, and why opening it now could destroy history's greatest time capsule in minutes. Across history, tombs have been looted, reopened, and studied. Tutankhamun dazzled the world. The royal tombs of Ur redefined Mesopotamia, but one mausoleum, arguably the grandest ever imagined, remains shut. Beneath a landscaped mound outside Xi'an lies the resting place of Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of China. Around it stand thousands of life-size terracotta soldiers, the guardians most people know. Yet the emperor's own burial chambers, the heart of this complex, have never been breached. Not because we don't know where they are, but because we know too much about what opening them might do. In 221 BCE, the Qin king unified 7 warring states and proclaimed himself Qin Shi Huang, first august emperor. He standardized writing, coinage, measures, even axle widths, and launched vast state projects, from early Great Wall segments to a national road system. He also feared death. Court alchemists promised elixirs of immortality. Some contained mercury, a neurotoxin long used in ritual and medicine. Ironically, the very substance he may have ingested to outwit death is one reason his tomb remains sealed. An early historian, Sima Qian, wrote that Qin Shi Huang began his mausoleum at age 13 and conscripted hundreds of thousands to carve an underground palace into bedrock. He described halls and storerooms, a cosmological ceiling of stars, and a map of China where rivers and seas were rendered with flowing quicksilver. To deter looters, crossbows were allegedly primed to fire on intruders. After completion, the workers were sealed inside to protect its secrets. Legend? Maybe. But recently, the science began to rhyme with the story. In 1974, farmers digging a well struck fired clay. Excavations revealed rank upon rank of terracotta soldiers, officers, archers, charioteers, cavalry, each face unique, each hairstyle and armor plate meticulously modeled. The army stands within a necropolis sprawling across some 56 square kilometers, comparable to a small city, with workshops, stables, and satellite tombs. Originally, these figures blazed with color, reds, blues, greens, laid over lacquer. When the first pits were opened, archaeologists watched those pigments crack and flake within minutes of fresh air exposure. It was a devastating lesson. The simple act of revealing long-sealed art can annihilate it. That experience transformed China's approach. Excavate only when ready to conserve. Pre-inject consolidants. Create controlled microclimates. If that's what it takes to save painted terracotta, imagine the stakes inside a sealed chamber filled with silk, wood, lacquerware, scrolls, and delicate metals. Oxygen is the most dangerous curse archaeology knows. The central tomb mound, symmetrical, forested, covers the emperor's underground palace. Ancient accounts describe chambers cut to bedrock, a bronze coffin, a starry ceiling, and rivers of mercury coursing through channels. For centuries, that sounded like embellishment. Then, geochemical surveys around the mound found abnormally high mercury concentrations, far above background levels, clustered in patterns suggesting internal sources rather than modern contamination. Teams reported mercury vapor readings dozens of times normal at specific points. If accurate, the implied volume is staggering, measured in tons, not basins. Liquid mercury is real in ancient ritual contexts. Later elite tombs included small vessels symbolizing water, but nothing approaches this scale. Mercury is heavy, mobile, and vaporizes. Its fumes accumulate in enclosed spaces. If the tomb is intact, puncturing a chamber could release vapor, endangering excavators and rapidly corroding or denaturing artifacts. If the mercury leaked over time, it could have infused materials with a poison that breaks down organics and destabilizes metals. In either case, the chemistry is a red flag that even a careful breach might trigger irreversible damage. Sima Qian wrote of crossbows primed to shoot. Hyperbole? Archaeologists have recovered sophisticated crossbow triggers from the site, precision bronze mechanisms with safety catches and crisp sears. 2,000 years later, working trap bows are unlikely. Wood rots, cords fail. But that's not the real danger. In sealed voids, the structure, gas composition, and moisture are in delicate equilibrium. A collapsing subchamber, a rock fall from a pressure change, a flood from a punctured cistern, these are the plausible traps. The tomb's most dangerous defenses are physics and time. Sensational stories sell curses. Archaeology is haunted by oxygen and humidity. We've all seen what happens when delicate pigments flash flake, when silks turn to dust on contact, when coffins crumble as their moisture buffer is lost. Even metals spall if protective patinas are disturbed. Now scale that micro-disaster to a palace sealed for 2 millennia. Without total climate control, oxygen, humidity, temperature, VOCs, and pressure, plus mercury scrubbing and contamination management, opening the chamber could become an act of destruction. Not because the ancients hexed us, but because the sealed system has its own ecology we barely understand. So how do we know what's inside? Non-invasive geophysics can X-ray the mound. Ground-penetrating radar, electrical resistivity tomography, and seismic surveys detect voids, walls, and floors. Campaigns have revealed a grid of corridors and large central spaces, architecture consistent with a multi-chambered complex. Magnetic anomalies hint at metal concentrations or alleged soils. While no scan shows a scroll on a table, the silhouette of rooms is clear. The underground palace exists, and it is enormous. That is precisely the long game. But perfect here means building a hermetically sealed excavation hall around the mound, installing airlocks, mercury scrubbers, and climate control, and then advancing in micrometers. It means designing robotics to survey, sample, and stabilize before humans enter, creating instant conservation workflows for every material class, and planning reversible interventions at architectural scale. It's closer to a planetary sample return mission than a dig. Chinese heritage authorities have articulated a principle: do not open until the ability to protect is proven. This restraint is not hesitation. It's a direct response to 1970s losses and decades of conservation science since. Each year the playbook improves. Gentler consolidants, smarter environmental systems, better robotics in confined heritage spaces. The day may come when a small, sealed portal allows a robot to enter an antechamber and transmit the first images ever seen by human eyes, without compromising the sealed climate. But rushing would trade wonder for ruin. Speculation must be careful, but informed. The emperor's burial may preserve an imperial inventory from the moment of unification. Administrative edicts on bamboo slips, lacquered maps, seals tying officials to offices, ceremonial bronzes, astronomical instruments, musical sets, models of palaces. We might recover early legal codes, court correspondence, and technical treatises. We could learn how the First Empire organized labor, taxation, logistics, hydraulics, and calendar keeping, down to the names and pay of the people who ran it. The cosmological ceiling, if present, might record constellations and star lore. The Mercury channels could reveal ancient hydraulic engineering and containment techniques. A single intact archive could adjust timelines for statecraft and science, not by years, but by centuries. Here's the promised reveal: mercury. The elevated concentrations measured in soils and air around the mound are not rumor, they are repeatable data. They align with ancient textual claims of mercury rivers. That alignment is extraordinary. It transforms legend into a testable hypothesis, and it warns us that the tomb's interior is a unique chemical system. The mercury is the smoking gun that convinced scientists to wait. If tons of quicksilver or residues are present, Any breach must account for vapor control and artifact safety at scale. Until those systems are proven, the safest and most scientific choice is restraint. Archaeology is not a race to break seals. It's a trust to pass the past, as intact as possible, to the future. A century ago, when Tutankhamun's seal was broken, global conservation science barely existed. We've been repairing that moment ever since. Qin Shi Huang's tomb offers a chance to do it differently, by inventing the methods first, and only then proceeding, slowly and reversibly. Waiting is not inaction, it is engineering. In a sense, the mausoleum is already open in the ways that matter now. We've mapped the voids, traced corridors, sampled breath for mercury, and reconstructed an inner plan with instruments. We've learned enough to see that we are not ready to touch it. That is not cowardice, it's wisdom. Some tombs demand to be opened. This one asks us to earn the right. If this changed how you picture the first emperor's mausoleum, tell us in the comments. Would you open it now, or wait another 50 years? And if you could be the first to look inside, what would you hope to see on that starry ceiling or those silent tables? Like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more deep dives from Echoes of Earth, where we uncover the past without erasing it. The greatest discoveries are sometimes the ones we choose not to make, yet.